Today we'll be at the Texas Card House. We're on tonight's live stream. The game is going to be 2-5, match a stack. Usually we buy in with $1,000, but within the first hour or two, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm in the game for 4 to 5K, which is going to be the goal. We're just a couple of hours from the main game, so we'll get a little bit of warm up and then we'll go from there. Let's take you guys into the card room and follow up with the adventure.
It's an hour before live stream. We warm up at the 2-5 table and buy in for $2,500. Low jack limps before Button raises it up to 65. We have plenty of hand history with Michael and don't take his raises lightly. Fortunately, we have a playable hand in the straddle. We call with king queen off and the low jack closes the action. 3 ways to the flop. The flop is queen 8-8 rainbow, giving us top pair good kicker. We check to play and flow and Button c-bets 80. We have an easy call. Low jack gets out of the way. The turn completes the rainbow. No reason to lead out here, so we check again. Button down bets to 75. Feels kind of weak, but I'm not sure if a raise makes sense here, so we just put in another call. The river is a blank and the action goes check check. We outkick him for a small pot. Pretty straightforward, but I think the correct play was to call turn and lead river, targeting marginal pairs and worse kickers. It's nice reviewing these hands though, as a reminder to not be so passive when we have a live read. A little later, we get into a big hand with the same opponent. He raises the cutoff to 35. It folds around to us and we wake up with the ladies. With stack depths in mind, we're trying to figure out the best sizing to get it all in. We 3-bet to 130, which if called, would leave an effective SPR of 2. He makes the job easy for us, however, when he jams. We snap it in, and opponent tells us he has ace-king. Classic flip. The flop looks great when it's a low-paired board. And the only thing better than 2 ladies is 3. We get a clean run out and scoop a nice pot. Hey Michael, I got you on dinner, buddy. So it's 5:34 p.m. We've been playing a little bit over an hour and we're now up about $900.
All right, y'all, so we're done with the warm-up session. In the game for 25, out the game for 34 even. So a cool $900 to start the day. Next up, live stream.
So slight change in plans. They allow us to buy in for 2K, but the game is still match a stack. We buy in for the max and can't wait until we can add up. Here's our first playable hand on stream. +1 opens the action at 35. He gets called by +3, button, and small blind. We have incentive to squeeze the pot, but the +1 player is known to play strong ranges. We decided to just close the action with some good old Texas heads up. 5 ways to the flop. On the flop, we flop top 2. Nice. We check to play and flow to see what the pre-flop aggressor does. He c-bets small and gets called by the button. We know that the pre-flop aggressor is usually aggressive with hand protection, so the small bet seems somewhat weak. We also know that the button is likely to raise his best hands. We think that there's plenty we can get value from, and with such a wet board, we need to protect our hand. After thinking about sizing, we elect to bet 2/3 pot. It's not much for the pre-flop aggressor, but we believe that it's enough to give us the information we need. When we get 2 smooth callers, their ranges are filled with a lot of 1-pair draw combinations, or flush draws. Maybe worse 2 pairs as we discount the sets that we block. The turn brings a 6 of diamonds. I'm not worried about backdoor draws. I want to use a sizing that worse hands can still call and nutted hands will raise. I elect to bet pot and see what happens. When the pre-flop aggressor folds, I'm confident we have the best hand, and await the button. After a while, he folds too. Not bad. It's always good to win your first hand on stream as that sets the pacing. I'm in the +1 and I open it up with ace-5 of diamonds. It folds to the second blind who 3-bets at a 120. Here, we can call or 4-bet a small portion of the time. I choose to take my positional advantage, however, and I want to see a flop. On the flop, we get a dry jack-high board. When it checks to us, we could bet our gut draw, but we would be forced to fold our equity if we got raised. Because of this, and because we're happy to call a turn bet, we opt to see a turn and river, and check. On the turn, we get some help with top pair. When our opponent leads out for half pot, it certainly feels like a big ace. But we can't give up here. If our top pair isn't good, we still have some outs. When the river gives us a straight, we have a disguised hand. Our opponent bets 400. At this point, I'm looking for a raise to target ace king, ace queen, and I go with a 1.5k sizing. I think the commentators did a pretty good job with what my opponent and I were both thinking, so I'll patch over the audio to what they were saying.
1,500, just roughly around what I was thinking here. So trying to get exactly ace king or ace queen to call. And it's definitely going to put Aaron in the blunder. And Aaron is going to think about this for a while. I think ultimately he's going to find the call and get the bad news. I mean, the board is a little bit straighty, but binking a straight there with ace-5, it's just not something that I think Aaron is putting JWIN on. And if Aaron can find a fold here, that would be an amazing fold. Because he is going to think it through. Aaron is going through his head all the different ranges that JWIN has had, all the different bluffs that JWIN has. What does he beat here? What is he losing here? Can I win this hand?
And I guarantee you, ace-5 suited is one of the things he's considering.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
And Aaron is just checking about, just trying to get a read of something of some sort, because JWIN has made huge bluffs before, and also made bluffs on streams as well. And he made a huge bluff on TCH Live in Dallas that unfortunately didn't go his way. But Aaron knows that JWIN is capable of making a big bluff here. And Aaron is just trying to find all the combinations that, what are his bluffs, what can he bluff here, and can I win this hand?
After much consideration, our opponent decides to give up the hand. I'm fairly impressed, but wish we did get some value. I'm sure we'll get into more hands with this opponent. Hey guys, the best hands are ahead, so don't go anywhere. But before we go to the next hand, just want to ask for a quick favor. Vlog 3 is taking me quite some time to put together, and I hope you guys are enjoying the vlog so far. If you don't mind, hit the like and the subscribe button and leave a comment below. It'll help feed the YouTube algorithm and make sure that my channel is successful going forth. All right guys, let's get back into the action. In the next hand, we have several limpers. And if you've hung around me enough, you'll know that one of my favorite sayings is punish the limpers. Please give me a hand, any hand, and let me do my job. And of course, the poker gods reward me with pocket aces. We raise the action to 100 and get 2 callers. Multi-way in a limp pot, we gotta be careful, but wow, this flop is nuts. As in, I have the nuts. Multi-way, we're not looking to slow play, and we bet 150. Our plan is to size up if they both call, or to take a check raise line if we go heads up. Plus 2 calls and the in position player folds. Even though the jack looks like a wet card, it really shouldn't change all that much. I don't think we ever get 3 streets of action here, so I decide to induce a bet by checking, which was our earlier plan. Opponent takes the bait and bets 225. We proceed with our plan and raise it to 800. If we get called here, we're going to have a nice river jam setup. Opponent snap calls, and we're feeling pretty good about the situation. The river is an innocent 8. Time to execute our plan. We go for the jam and pray for a crying call. Villain doesn't take long to throw in a chip, and we flip over our cards. No surprises. We take down a nice 5k pot, what turns out to be a light call. Guess our image is getting us paid today. Someone's getting cooled in this next hand. The hijack raises to 50, and we wake up with a hand on the button. Against the hijack, we can either smooth call or 3-bet, but I can't help myself. I 3-bet my pocket JWINs and get a call. Heads up to an action flop of King Jack 5 2 hearts. Our opponent checks to us and we bet 175. When our opponent calls, we know that his range consists of top pair plus and big flush and straight draws. On a good turn, we're confident that we can get value from a ton of hands, so we go for a pot-sized bet. Our opponent makes the call and we go to the river. The river brings an offsuit queen, which is interesting. While we lose to some unlikely straights, we still beat a ton of 2-pair plus combos. We go for a large 2/3 bet and get a snap call. Turns out, we set overset our opponent. My goodness, how did more money not get in?
Villain's got 9s. That's the name of the game. And JWIN has aces again.
Oh my goodness. JWIN had aces with top set, and then JWIN had jacks with second set. And now JWIN has aces again, and he has 8.4k in front of him. And he's also eating something that looks really good and got a massage. JWIN's living it up right now.
All right, I'm not even gonna lie. Aces, jacks, aces, back-to-back-to-back hands. Let's try not to mess this one up. So the hijack raises to 35. Of course, we're 3-betting our hand to 125. Doesn't take long before our opponent calls. Off to a flop, we get a low board of 8-5-3 rainbow. This isn't a board that favors a 3-better's range, so we want to be careful of not over c-betting this flop. Additionally, we want to give our opponent a chance to catch up if he flopped air. Since we don't have a nut advantage on his board, we check the flop and play a 2-street game. On the turn, a queen brings in some value hands for our opponent's range. When he checks it over to us, we go for the delayed c-bet. We go for a small pro bet of 30% and get a call. When the river brings in a 7, we think this is a fairly safe card to bet. We go for a polarized sizing targeting top pair. After much thought, our opponent makes the call. We show our hand and take down another pot.
And everybody's like, what? You have aces? I would not think you have aces.
I'm pretty happy with how I played this hand. We have to have some strong checkbacks and good hands to defend turn and river dunks with.
Yeah. And this is why you have to mix in your checks and your c-bets.
Wow. What a heater of an hour, huh? We get 2 pocket aces, pocket jacks, where we get middle set versus bottom set. And I think we get pretty much max value in all 3 hands. The first set, I'm guessing we're up against 2 pairs. I highly doubt he calls light with 1 pair. And then on a set over set, if I told myself that he had a lot of ace queen, ace tens, no king jacks, no king king, obviously. I don't think ace king would have flattered my 3-bet. He would have 4-bet me for sure. And there was a small chance of a 5-5, but once the gutter hit for the straight, I know that in terms of sizing, I'm typically moving down a little bit there. And then the last hand, aces versus that low board, I knew that I was going to get 2 streets of value, and so for me, I wanted to keep ranges wide, let him catch up if needed, and I'm glad we got a turn and river bet. Pretty lucky. Hopefully the rest of the session goes the same way.
In the next hand, it folds around to the button, who opens it up to 30. Button ranges are wider, and I'd love to get a fold here, so we go for the 3-bet to 140. 9-6, even if suited, isn't very playable, especially out of position. But we feel like we have some profitable lines against this type of player. But he doesn't give up yet, and he makes the call. We're going heads up to the flop. The flop comes Queen Jack 2 rainbow. There are a couple of lines we can take with 2 Broadway cards. We decide to start with a check and to see what villain does. When he checks back the flop, our line is to bet turn and river and to get all smaller pairs to fold. On a 5 of diamond turn, we continue with our plan. We put in an overbet of $400. The button puts in a call. The river comes a 6. There are lots of hands that can call turn but fold river, from draws to worse pairs and bad kickers. We're never winning with 9 high, so we put in another large bet, this time for 1.4K. After some thinking, the button puts in a great call, and we muck. I like the line that I took because population here would generally bet their top pair on flop. They aren't balanced enough in their checkbacks, so turn and river bombs generally lead to enough folds. Kudos to Kevin, though, for playing that hand really, really well. Cutoff opens up to 30. Playing raggedy cards ain't working, so we're going back to pocket pairs. We look down at pocket JWINs on the button and 3-bet it to 110. The second blind calls, and so does the cutoff to close out the action. The flop is a king high dry board. When it checks to us, we're betting our range in position, 1/3 sizing. We get an instant check raise from the small blind at 300, and cutoff gets out the way, so it's back to us. With almost 4-to-1 odds, however, we're forced to make a call and evaluate turn. It's getting close to the end of our session, and I'd like to use my one time, please. If the poker gods help me win this hand, my audience is gonna smash that like button. When the dealer rips the turn, holy smokes, we hit our set of jacks. Small blind continues the betting and bets small. We're looking to get the money in from here, so we make a small raise to 800. Our opponent decides his hand is good enough and jams the rest of his stack, and of course, we snap call. We show our hand, and it's good enough to win another solid pot. We're just running hot today.
Oh my goodness, that was completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's the last hand of the night. It folds around to the
hand
last
of
two
the night is
straddles,
either
and we
really
raise it up to
crazy
10-4 suited.
or
We get
just
called
it's
by
gonna
the bigger
call.
straddle and
Josh
off to a
put this
flop.
up in the air like he didn't want it.
Flop comes
It's
9-8-7,
trash
giving us an
fire.
open ender.
Oh!
We lead out with a
Does
small
Josh have
100
a
bet to
pair?
target trash. When our opponent calls, we can either give up on turn or fight for this
40 in the
pot
pot here.
if we
Josh
believe
sits
that our
in the
opponent's
back
range
of the
here is weak.
1.5K.
On a blank turn, we decide that we can credibly rep the straights. Our plan is to take a check raise line and jam river if it feels right. We check and our opponent bets 200. We raise to 700 according to plan. Unfortunately, our opponent jams the rest of his stack.
All in on the left
WTF.
hand.
We think about the odds, but ultimately decide to just let it go. For what it's worth, our instinct was right and our opponent was on a complete bluff with Queen 5. Good one, Josh. Kudos to you for getting it in.
He was ahead. He was ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the stream for.
Alright guys, so that's it for vlog 3. We got a ton of great hands, and we got paid on many of them, so super lucky. We'll go ahead and post the results somewhere up here, so that way you guys see what we're in, out, and what we netted for both of the sessions combined. Other than that, I did take the last 3 or 4 weeks off, so it took me a while to post some good videos, but I'm looking forward to getting back right into the tune. So if you want, hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, and let's build this thing together. I've had a fast start on this channel, and I'm looking forward to putting a lot more vlogs out in the near future. So guys, have a great weekend. Thanks so much for your support. See you later. Peace.